What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Crack a Pack series. Today we are opening up a pack of 2015 core set. We of course are going to be looking through this as if it is a pack one pick one scenario, but I will go ahead and preface by saying I did not actually play at all during this set, so I have no clue what's actually in it other than Garrick and a few of the Planeswalkers. So we'll do the best we can. It's a core set, so I'm hoping it won't be too difficult to actually pick out. Oops, sorry about that. To hopefully pick out the actual correct pick. But of course, we're going to go through every card. So let's kick it off. We have Clear a Path for 1 red. It's a sorcery. Destroy target creature with Defender. Really don't like this card. Super specific, so it's not going to obviously be a main board deck. Maybe in sideboard, but really what card with Defender is going to be the biggest problem for you? I have no clue. I feel like there are much bigger things to worry about, especially in Limited. Maybe there's a card in this set that I don't know about that has Defender that's like super problematic, but I really doubt it. So not a fan of that card at all. Solemn Offering, a sorcery for 2 and a white, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and then you gain 4 life. This is actually a really good sideboard card, whereas Clear a Path is not necessarily. I think Solemn Offering is great. It's not a first pick by any means, but if you're in a white deck, it's really good to have access to artifact or enchantment removal. The life gain is just kind of a bonus, honestly. 3 mana is a little expensive for something like this, but that 4 life kind of buffers you, so I'm okay with that. So I actually really like this card as sideboard. Again, not a first pick by any means, though. Aeronaut Tinkerer is a 2/3 for 2 and a blue. It has flying as long as you control an artifact. If I'm not mistaken, the blue-white deck or the blue-red deck, I'm not sure which, very artifact focused. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe that's correct. A lot of Thopters, things like that. So I think this card's probably a decent addition to that deck. I think you really have to have the artifact count, obviously, to make this worthwhile. Otherwise, it's just a 2/3 for 3, which is not good, but a 2/3 for 3 with flying, fantastic, absolutely great. Evasive threat, a little bit harder to kill, so I really like that. So far, definitely the pick, but obviously hoping for a little bit of a better pickup later on. Crowd's Favor is an instant for 1 red. You can convoke it, so you can use your creatures to help cast this spell. Each creature you control while that you tap, while casting this spell, pays for 1 mana or 1 of that creature's color. So you can actually, in this case, has to be a red creature, and it would pay for the 1 mana that this card actually needs to be cast. And the target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. This to me just seems like an okay combat trick. It doesn't seem all that great. I like that you can convoke it, weirdly. I'm not a huge fan of things like that on a combat trick in general, but it just sort of leaves yourself open to not having to worry about like tapping out or something like that. You can continuously play threats and then use a creature that you just played, didn't have haste, so it was left untapped or something like that you weren't able to use. This just kind of helps you smooth that out. I think this is probably a reasonable card in a really aggressive red style deck, but it would not be a first pick for something like that by any means. Hunter's Ambush is 2 and a green for an instant. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt by non-green creatures this turn. Really don't like this. It's a bad fog effect. I really don't like fog effects in general, especially in Limited. Some constructed decks maybe, but this is just absolute bad. Accursed Spirit is a 3/2 for 3 and a black. It has Intimidate, not a keyword we see much of anymore, but that means it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. So very specific, makes it very difficult to block. I like this card. I think it's a decent black card, just sort of mid-range black. It's fine. It's not amazing, but I do think it's probably better on its own than the Tinkerer, and so for that reason, I think I'd have to pick this over that. Necrobite is an instant for 2 and a black. Target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn, and then you regenerate it. I'm not a huge fan of this card. It's basically a removal spell-ish. It's a conditional removal spell. You basically have to have a creature to kind of put out with this, and that's not a huge fan. Or I'm not a huge fan of that, excuse me. So I think it's like not great. It's just really bad removal in my opinion. Elvish Mystic is a 1/1 for 1 green. You can tap it to add 1 green to your mana pool. Very classic elf, fantastic card. Mana ramp is always good. In limited, it's probably particularly good just because you can really get ahead in turns if you can get ahead in mana. And so weirdly, I actually like this up there with the Accursed Spirit. I don't know if I like it more yet, but we'll see what the rest of the pack holds. Eternal Thirst is an enchant creature for 1 and a black. The creature has lifelink and has whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. I think this is just like okay. It's not great, not my favorite thing. I'm really not a fan of enchant creatures, as most of you guys know. It opens yourself up for 2-for-1s, which I'm never a fan of, just because if they kill the creature, you lose the enchantment too, which seems really bad. So I like that this has some long-term value. The lifelink is nice as well, but really not a fan. Netcaster Spider, a 2/3 for 2 and a green. It has reach, and whenever it blocks a creature with flying, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I actually think this is a really, really great 3-drop. In a green deck, especially when flyers are very hard to come by, having creatures with reach to deal with the opposing flyers is always helpful. Getting an extra bonus against these flyers is just great. So I do like this card quite a lot. I don't think I like it more than the other cards that we have. That might be incorrect, but that's just personal preference. Ensoul Artifact is an enchant artifact for 1 and a blue. The artifact is a creature with base power and toughness 5/5 in addition to its other types. So it takes any artifact and makes it a 5/5 creature. Weirdly, this card is kind of awesome in certain scenarios. I don't know if it's good in limited. There were actually constructed decks that loved stuff like this. I don't know in limited if it's actually got the same value. I feel like it probably is pretty good, but you really are reliant on your artifacts. I'm going to keep it in the okay pile for now, but we'll see what happens. Altac Bloodseeker is a 2/1 for 1 and a red. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, it gets +2/+0 and gains first strike and haste until end of turn. This is an interesting card. I don't know if I really like this. I feel like it might be good, but I didn't get a chance to play with it. I feel like it's a little weird that it gets haste, just because, I mean, I guess you could play it and then kill something and then give it haste, and then it's a 4/1 that you can swing in with on your first turn, but that seems like a lot of an investment. I mean, that'd be great. That's kind of living the dream with it, but I don't know if that's actually all that relevant or that easy to come by. That being said, I do think this is a really, really good aggressive card if you can reliably kill your opponent's creatures. So if you've got a lot of burn, I feel like this is great. I'm going to keep it again in the okay pile. We'll see what we end up with. Battle Mastery is an enchant creature for 2 and a white, and the enchanted creature has double strike. Again, not a fan of enchanted creatures. Double strike is a great ability, don't get me wrong. You can deal tons and tons of damage with it. Really, really like double strike, but not on an enchant creature, just in general, not my favorite thing. So I would have to pass on a card like this. Wow, and then our rare is a Sliver Hivelord. Not gonna be the pick, but interesting card. So it's a 5/5 for every color for Wooburg of mana. Sliver creatures you control have indestructible. Very powerful card, extraordinarily powerful. In fact, really happy to open it because I don't have a Sliver Hivelord, but definitely not a creature that I would play in limited. It's just really, really cool. Super fun if you are in constructed or in particular commander. If you're making a Sliver deck, Hivelord's great, but in limited, really not that great, especially in a set with, I don't think, very many slivers. I might be wrong, but I don't think there's very many, so not a fan of that, unfortunately, in limited. So we do have a few different choices here, and I actually am kind of selling myself on the Bloodseeker. I don't know if that's the correct pick. I think Elvish Mystic is a safe pick. Accursed Spirit I like, but it's just kind of an on its own decent card. Ensoul Artifact I also like, but you're reliant on the artifacts that you could potentially have, and I'd rather have the artifacts first. Elvish Mystic, again, great enabler, love the card, but I think Bloodseeker is going to be my pick. Please let me know if you disagree in the comment section below. This is one of the ones that I'm a little bit more unsure of, weirdly, because it is a core set, but if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like or a comment down below. If you really enjoyed it, please make sure to subscribe, but I'm going to get out of here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next Crack a Pack video.